Okay, so you're looking for like a quick but thorough rundown of what's happening in the Faroe Islands right now.
You bet.
We've got you covered.
Yeah.
We've skimmed the latest from Kringvarp Faroya in ro.fo and vp.fo to bring you the need-to-know news
Awesome.
on politics, weather, and even a bit of sports and culture.
Sounds good.
So let's jump right in.
Okay.
Looks like it's been a busy week.
It has.
Why don't we start with the political scene?
Sure. So the government is pushing ahead with negotiations for a new fishing agreement with Russia for 2025.
Okay. Yeah.
This has sparked some debate, though,
I can imagine.
with accusations that the Javna Arflokurin, the Social Democratic Party, is going back on a promise to avoid engaging with Russia.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Locally, Sørjovar Kommune has formed its new council.
Okay.
Hans and Anders Jacobsen is mayor, and Arthur Johansson is deputy mayor.
Got it.
And over on Strandum, there's been some controversy.
Oh, really?
One council member is publicly alleging backroom deals and claims to have been excluded from the decision-making process.
Wow.
Yeah.
So moving to economic news.
Okay.
Faroe's banks saw a 4.3% loan growth in September 2024
Okay.
compared to last year.
Uh-huh.
At the same time, unemployment held steady at 0.8% in October.
Now let's talk about the weather.
Okay.
It's been a bit wild.
Yeah, it has.
A powerful storm just ripped through the islands,
Wow.
hitting Sandavagar on Vagar Island particularly hard.
Oh, no.
We've seen images of the damage from multiple sources.
Really?
Pretty dramatic stuff.
I bet.
Landsverk, the public works agency, had to halt all operations
Makes sense.
due to the extreme weather conditions.
Definitely understandable with those high winds and rough seas.
Yeah.
Travel was also heavily impacted.
I can imagine.
Widespread ferry cancellations, flights were delayed and canceled, and even the Norrona ferry, which connects the Faroe Islands to Iceland and Denmark,
Right.
had some trouble navigating around Shetland. Switching gears to sports, there are rumors that Guernsey might have to withdraw from the Island Games football tournament in Orkney due to accommodation issues.
On the local football scene,
Yeah.
Bartle Powell has signed with HB,
Nice.
and a national team player has joined NC.
Cool.
And finally, a quick update from the world of culture.
Okay.
Faroe's country star Haller Johnson is set to perform at the G Festival.
Awesome. VP.fo had like an interesting report.
Yeah.
It seems that 1/5 of every generation ends up leaving the Faroe Islands.
Wow, that's a significant portion of the population. I wonder what factors contribute to that decision.
Yeah, it does make you think,
Yeah.
while none of the sources explicitly connect it to emigration,
Right.
it does make you think about the storm's impact on infrastructure
Yeah.
and the challenges of living in a location susceptible to such severe weather.
Right, and we can't forget the frequent ferry cancellations and flight disruptions due to the Faroe Islands' remote location.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of navigating challenges, let's get back to the political discussion.
Okay.
The fishing agreement with Russia continues to generate controversy.
Yeah.
Kringvarp Faroya reports accusations that the Javnaðarflokkurin,
No.
the Social Democratic Party,
Right.
backtracked on a promise not to engage with Russia.
Given the current global political climate, I can understand why that decision is sparking debate. What else is happening on the political front?
Kringvarp Faroya also reports that the council on Strandum,
Yeah.
where that council member alleged being left out of the loop, might be restructured.
Hopefully that will help address the concerns about transparency and inclusivity in the decision-making process. Now let's shift gears for a moment and look at some cultural news. Didn't we hear something about Haller Johnson, the Faroes country music star?
Yes, VP.4 reported that he just released his third studio album,
Okay.
and it's his first one entirely in Faroes.
That's fascinating. It makes you wonder if more Faroes artists are choosing to create work in their native language, perhaps as a way of preserving their cultural identity in an increasingly globalized world.
That's a really interesting thought. Now, for a story that caught my eye in, IFO reported on a project to create a documentary film about Israel and Palestine in collaboration with the Faroe Islands Film Society.
Wow, that's unexpected.
Yeah.
It seems the Faroe Islands are engaging with global issues in diverse ways.
Absolutely. Now, before we move on in, AFO also reported on a legal case.
Okay.
The Ministry of Fisheries and Transport was recently acquitted by the High Court. Details are limited,
Okay.
but it's a reminder that even in a place like the Faroe Islands, legal disputes arise.
That's a good point. Life everywhere has its share of complexities. And with that in mind, we'll conclude part 2 of our deep dive here. Stay tuned for our final part, where we'll wrap up with some additional insights from the Faroe Islands. We've covered some heavy topics so far: political controversies, economic indicators, even legal battles. But before we wrap up, I'd love to hear about some positive developments.
Well, it seems there's some movement on the infrastructure front.
Okay.
And AFOFO mentioned some upcoming public hearings. Regarding the Suðuroyartunnilin project, that's the proposed subsea tunnel that would connect the island of Suðuroy to the rest of the archipelago.
That would be huge for transportation and connectivity within the Faroe Islands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It's a sign that despite the geographical challenges, the Faroe Islands are investing in their future.
That's great to hear.
On a smaller scale, VP.FO reported on a new car dealership opening.
Oh, really?
It will focus mainly on imported used cars,
Okay.
but there's also the option to import new ones.
That's interesting. What do you think that tells us about the Faroes' economy?
Well, it could indicate a growing consumer market
Uh-huh.
and an increasing demand for vehicles taken together with the loan growth we discussed earlier. It suggests a degree of economic dynamism.
So even with those immigration figures we discussed, there are signs of growth and progress in the Faroe Islands. It sounds like a place trying to balance its traditional heritage with the demands of a modern globalized world.
Absolutely, and that's what makes it so fascinating to follow.
Well, on that note, I think we've successfully navigated this deep dive into Faroe's current events.
I think so.
We've covered politics, economics, weather sports, even a touch of culture.
It's been a busy week.
It has been.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep exploring.